Hello and welcome back to Nathan Bell's podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Today, Nate would like to talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about conspiracies today. Now, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist and I've done a lot of research about different conspiracies that have happened throughout history. My thing is I read freedom of information releases, so I'm into reading documents that the government has declassified, and I've read a lot of documents from American freedom of information releases. It's mostly CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and NSA material and stuff from the Department of Defense. So I know that certainly there are real conspiracies, and what I want to say about conspiracies is let's understand the term conspiracies correctly. The term conspiracies is really a legal term. Like we courts use the term conspiracy, example being conspiracy to murder, where a group of people come together and they conspire to kill someone. So if you understand conspiracy, it is a technical term, it has a legal use, and it does mean something in our society. And a lot of people dismiss things, they say, oh, that's conspiracy theory, that's conspiracy thinking, but I want people to remember what the word conspiracy actually means. It basically means when people conspire to do a certain thing, generally which is going to cause negative impact on others. Those things do happen in the world. Certainly people do come together and conspire to wrong others. So really a conspiracy from a legal sense is when a person or persons, group of people, come together and conspire to do wrong against others or society, and they're conspiring in secret, and it's a plot, a scheme that they come up with for how to, which effectively will wrong other people. And that certainly does happen in the world, and that's why in court they might say it was conspiracy to murder or conspiracy to defraud the tax office, for example. If a group of people come together and conspire about how they can effectively evade tax, that would be conspiracy to defraud the tax office, right? That's a legal term. It's a real term. It does have a use in our society, and it does mean something. So when you're going to dismiss people as conspiracy thinkers, just remember that there is a legal application of this term conspiracy. It is a real word, it does mean something, and it is used in court. And certainly, we don't have to trust everyone, A lot of people are very trusting, particularly of government. I don't trust government at all. And I'm never going to trust government, and I'm not going to be told to trust government. And you're not going to tell me that because I don't trust government, I'm a conspiracy thinker. I know history. Governments have been corrupt all throughout history. They have done the wrong thing all throughout history. They have betrayed, they have stolen, they have ripped off the public, they have run secretive programs. It has happened all throughout history. I don't trust government. I'm never going to trust government, and I'm not going to be bullied into pretending that I trust government. And I don't think we should trust government. I think we should have a healthy untrust for government. We elect our representatives, and we have the right to enforce and regulate them to ensure that they are acting in our best wishes. The idea of democracy is we, the voting public, put them in power and we keep them in check. And that is what free media is about. And that is why we place journalists in high esteem in our society. As I spoke about in my video about Julian Assange, journalists in particular are meant to investigate the state, to expose when the state is doing the wrong thing. But we certainly shouldn't have blind faith in the state and in the government and just trust that the government is going to do right by us all the time. We have the right to criticise government. It's a fundamental principle of democracy that we have the right to criticise and critique government, and to regulate government, and to hold government to account when government is doing the wrong thing. And I've studied many conspiracies, and people still don't understand MK Ultra, and people say, oh, well, what did that really matter? But it's interesting to know that the CIA had an agenda of mind control, and to wonder what motivated the CIA to conduct mind control experiments. And we have the right, it's not so relevant to us in Australia, but the American public have the right to say to the Central Intelligence Agency, why did your body, which is elected by the people to serve the people and to protect the people, feel it was necessary to funnel taxpayer money into mind control experiments? The American public have the right to ask that, and the rest of us and the rest of the world also have the right to say we're concerned that such a powerful body as the Central Intelligence Agency has an agenda of mind control. So we have the right to bring those things into question. Now that's not a conspiracy, MK Ultra. It's historically documented fact and publicly acknowledged by the American government, and it's a perfect example of when a very elaborate conspiracy was happening in the 50s and 60s, and where it was covered up and was kept under the rug and nobody knew about it, and then it all came out many, many years later. It's interesting because I feel victims of CIA mind control experiments are entitled to compensation, and they are. So we have the right to pursue punishment even now for the people who were involved in that program. But some people, I do want to say some people just aren't very intelligent and believe in rubbish conspiracies. Like, there is no conspiracy to fake the moon landing. We went to the moon because there is no conspiracy that the earth is flat, and the government isn't lying to us that the earth is flat. It would take, if you believe that all world governments are in on this elaborate conspiracy where the ruling class are conniving to mislead us into thinking that the earth is round when the earth is flat. World governments are not combined. They are not one entity. They disagree immensely. They cannot cooperate. They've shown throughout history they cannot cooperate. And they could not cooperate with each other to pull this ruse over the whole world about this stupid thing which would be pointless to trick people about anyway. So some people believe in some really dumb conspiracies. I believe in real conspiracies which are evidenced mostly through freedom of information releases. I wanted to be a journalist. I went to uni. I started a communications degree. So I've done some time at uni being taught how to scrutinise facts and to do research on what is happening. I want to start my own journalism company as an independent producer. So people need to be more intelligent if they want to be conspiracy thinkers. So what I'm trying to say is it's okay to be a conspiracy thinker, which is essentially not to trust the government. You're not obligated to trust the government. You have a right to distrust the government. But a lot of people believe in stuff that's just absolute rubbish, and there's no evidence to support any of the claims of these conspiracies. It's like QAnon. A lot of it is just one person said this, then another person believes it, then they share it, then everyone believes it. A lot of these people, quite frankly, who believe this QAnon stuff, or that the earth is flat and that the world governments are misleading us and tricking us into believing the earth is round when actually it's flat, these people are just dumb and lack education and lack the ability to assess information. So, it's a big thing to say, but I tend to think of myself as a proper, real, intelligent conspiracy theorist who goes after real conspiracies that actually happened in history. And the things that I talk about are mostly coming from freedom of information releases. They're verifiable, they're acknowledged by world governments, and they can be proven to be true. So, I see a distinction between people who believe in very silly conspiracies, which are obviously rubbish, and people who are a bit more like me, a bit more inclined towards might have been an investigative journalist, and actually look at information and disseminate information and find out what is actually the truth of what is happening. Another conspiracy which is absolutely real and which unfolded over the last 30 years is the sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. Now, some people may say, well, that wasn't a conspiracy. Well, yes, it was, because there were consistent cover-ups of what was happening, and there was conspiring to cover up evidence to keep priests out of prison and to keep priests from being charged with pedophilia. It was a conspiracy, and the Vatican was very active in suppressing evidence and shutting down investigations into pedophile priests. So that is one of the biggest conspiracies that has come out in the last 20 years, particularly in Australia, is the conspiracy of the sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church. Again, a completely real conspiracy which did happen, and I class it as a conspiracy, and it's real and it took place. So these things do happen, and we don't have to trust each other, and I want to reinforce that again. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you don't trust government and you don't trust people, and I say that's healthy because there's a lot of untrustworthy people in the world, and there have been a lot of untrustworthy governments in the past. So I say it's healthy not to trust government, and in general not to trust people. So that's some of my thoughts on conspiracies. So drop a comment in the comment section about what you think about conspiracies.